Tom Brady and Roger Goodell were back in court yesterday and did not reach a settlement. Apparently, Brady was once again ready to consider striking a deal, being open to serve a one-game suspension for failure to cooperate, according to NFL.com. And the league was willing to cut the suspension to 3 games if Brady were to admit guilt, that via the New York Daily News. However, it never got to that point due to the NFL's insistence on Brady admitting to guilt, knowledge, and or responsibility in connection with the alleged deflation of footballs. Skip, Judge Berman will now rule. How will this end for Tom Brady?
Ryan Clark, this is going to end in the near future the way I said it was from the start, just after the Wells report came out. Tom Brady will be granted what they call a stay, an injunction. He will play game 1, 2, 3, and 4. What happens from there, I'm not sure. But I was told yesterday by a source close to the proceedings that it's possible that Judge Berman, and this is within his power, will appoint an independent arbitrator to then review the case again. So we'd have to go through the whole thing again before an independent voice. It would be up to Judge Berman to select that individual, whoever it might be. And there's a chance also that obviously that Judge Berman would just feel compelled, feel responsible enough in the next day or two to go ahead and rule one way or the other, knowing full well that whichever way he rules, the other side will immediately appeal. And it will move right on up the ladder to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. So that's a possibility. I am told that once again, as you pointed out from the NFL, was it NFL Network report? You know, about the settle?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, Brady offered again yesterday to settle by taking 1 game with 0 admission of guilt, and that did play favorably with Judge Berman, because that was the only small hope he had for a settlement on either side. Clearly, the NFL has already dug in and said, no way. All I know for a fact, and I continue to hear this from sources close to Tom Brady, he is as dug in as he ever was from the start. He is prepared to fight this to its legal death. He's weary of it. He's lost a little bit of spirit. I didn't think he played very well, especially in the first quarter the other night. Then he rallied his troops a little bit with a nice end of the half 2-minute drill drive.
Right.
But again, is it wearing on him? Yes, it is. Does he think he has enough momentum to go win this in court? Yes, he does, in the Court of Appeals. And if he did prevail, the end game here is to discredit the commissioner. And there is some thought that it could put the commissioner in jeopardy of keeping his job.
Wow.
Stole a little bit of my thunder, because I think the same thing is going to happen. Tom Brady is going to play in the first 4 games of the season, no matter how it happens, whether Judge Berman rules for him or they have to go to the next court and appeal. He's going to get a stay. He's going to play in those games. For me, the NFL has taken a black eye throughout this whole process.
Really? Interesting.
Roger Goodell, the reasons he's lost a lot of these cases once other people were brought in to hear him is because he does kind of skirt the rules of the CBA. Like he does. Eric Winston texted me last night because I tweeted something going back and forth with the fan. You know, it said something about the CBA, about the generally aware quote-unquote statement is something that Roger Goodell put into place after Spygate. He was like, you know what? From now on, I don't have to prove it. If I think you're doing this, then it's going to be an issue with me. You're going to be able to get suspended or whatever I feel like you should be subject to. But because he's doing things like that, other arbitrators, other judges, other courts are starting to feel a certain type of way about Roger Goodell. They think that he's abusing his power, the power given, whether it be by the CBA or not, whether the players agree to it or not. They don't think he's doing things the way that benefits the league, that benefits players, that benefits coaches. So I can definitely see, too, Judge Berman saying, you know what? I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of Roger Goodell. Even though we don't like to get involved in these cases, Tom Brady, you're playing the first game. You were willing to do something. The issue here is the two things, the thing that the NFL wants and the thing that Tom Brady wants, they just happen to be the same thing. Tom Brady wants in no way to admit that he was guilty, that he knew about it, that he had anything to do with. In the NFL, that's all they want. I think if he even said, man, y'all don't suspend me at all, I'll say I did it. I think they'll take that.
Oh, sure
They'll take that.
Leap on that.
Just to be able to say the Ted Wells report.
I would agree.
These millions of dollars we spent on it were well worth it because we got to the bottom of this. When in truth, they didn't really get to the bottom of it. Now, football people, myself included, do I believe he had something to do with it? Do I believe he had some knowledge of it? I do. But there's no proof of that. And so with there being no proof, Roger Goodell needs Tom Brady to say, I had a part in it. He needs Tom Brady to validate this situation. And like you said, I don't know if his job's in jeopardy. I'm not sure he cared. If y'all paid me $44 million last year, I wouldn't be at work anyway.
Oh. My God, the things I could do with that.
But when you look at the situation, he's lost favor finally. With some of these other things, if you look at the Hardy case or the Ray Rice, when he was able to come back and kind of fix it as far as people were concerned after the video, Adrian Peterson, because of these acts, the acts committed by these guys, he could pretty much, as far as public opinion, do what he wanted. He could say that you're never going to play again, you're suspended for a year, anything. He could pretty much do what he wanted. NFLPA bent a little bit to give him that by putting these guys on the commissioner exempt list. But with Tom Brady, with the deflation of balls, with football people saying, you know what, it wasn't really a big deal anyway if Tom Brady admits it, I think he's losing here. So he has to stay as dug in as Tom Brady is because Roger Goodell needs a win.
Okay, so after all your years of being a player rep, you have a great command of this. At the higher level of the judicial system, at what point is a judge finally going to rule, well, you guys gave it up through your last collective bargaining, and the commissioner does have absolute power, so I have to rule with absolute power?
I think it has to be a court and a judge who is truly just tired of it, though. You know, because a lot of times in these judges and when people look at justice and when people think of fairness, they don't like the big dog. You know, judges and people who think fairly don't like the bully. In NFL, Roger Goodell, he's the bully. They're the bully. So I don't know if there's a judge who's gotten to the point with these situations, especially this one. You know, some of those other situations, some of those other cases where there is harm to individuals, there is human casualties in it. I think a judge is kind of like, okay, I'm gonna stay out of it. But in this one, I feel like this won't be the case where a judge says, you know what, you gave it up in the CBA, and truly they didn't give up his right to just do whatever he wants, but they did give up the right for it to appeal through him, for him to be able to hand down suspensions. But it's supposed to be mutually negotiated, and the NFLPA is supposedly supposed to have a say in these things.
Yeah, I got it.
You know, so...
Okay, final point. Allow me to mount my soapbox on this one.
Go for it.
This week, I have become sick and tired of hearing people in the media, in all forms of media, say, I'm sick and tired of this Deflategate. Just go away, leave me alone, and let's get on with our football. I believe most of those people, if not all of them, are the same ones who leaped up on their soapboxes when the Wells report came out and said, he cheated and he lied about it, and they all dug in, suspend him, tarnish his reputation for good. He doesn't belong as a first ballot Hall of Famer. And now they're starting to realize Tom Brady, and they should admire this, and this is grudging on their part, he has fought back and dug in and hung in, and he has started to reverse the field here a little bit, where I think he's starting to clear his name. And it's really starting to irk people who dug in and now look like fools that they said he cheated when they now know, uh-oh, maybe he really didn't cheat. And so now they say, oh, get out of my sight. I just want my football back, because they don't want to give it up to a guy who had the guts to fight City Hall. He did. I said from the start, Roger, you're picking on the wrong guy here. He might seem like an aw shucks nice guy off the field, but that Psycho Tom on the field, you don't mess with that guy. And that's who's coming out in court is Psycho Tom. So I admire the heck out of him for fighting and fighting, because it's taken a lot of hours here to keep going back to court and distracting from football to clear his reputation.
Well, I admire Roger Clemens and Rafael Palmeiro too. You know, those guys dug in. Those guys dug in.
But they did it.
And
okay, but are you still there that he did it? You're still there.
I'm still there that he was generally aware, and that he had.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm shocked by your. You've reverse field.
I'm not changing. No, I have a reverse field on that. I did say from the beginning, Tom Brady, the player, is still a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's still the best quarterback of my era, of my time, the most accomplished. These balls and this situation doesn't take away from the player that I thought he was. Doesn't take away from the player that he is, who he will be remembered in history for. Do I admire the fact that he's fighting as an NFL PA rep? Heck yeah. It's good for all of us that he's doing that. And I hope he wins. It's not.
But you still think he cheated?
No question.
Okay, I have huge question, because I don't think he knew anything about this, and you are caught up in what you've said many times on the show.
People that cheat, when you ask them, do they cheat?
No, I know.
They don't say,
Yeah.
I think I play in the rules. They don't say that.
He was blindsided by that. He had no idea what anybody was talking about. And you are a prisoner, I believe, of what you've said many times sitting in this seat on this show, which is they've been serial cheaters for years and years. I'm with you on that. But that reflects not on the quarterback, but on the head coach.
No, and I totally agree. The stories don't match up. You can't say at one point, oh, I know nothing about PSI, and then say, yeah, I do like my balls at 12.5 PSI. Like, you can't have it both ways.
You're talking about Brady.
Tom Brady. You can't jump on both sides of the fence whenever it feels good to you, or whenever you review what you've heard or what you've said in the media and say, okay, now I need to fix that and I need to go. Tom Brady is a genius. He's a genius, and you can't make me believe when they ask him, do you cheat? He had no idea what they were talking about.
But he told the story of a year ago, the Jets game, when he knew nothing. He didn't know what the rules were, and he went out for kickoff and found that the footballs were incredibly overinflated. He couldn't even grip them for a Jets game that they played poorly in, and he played poorly in. So he asked the equipment guys, go get the page out of the rule book. And from that point forward, he testified under oath. We took the page out of the rule book to the refs before the games and said, here's the standard. It's supposed to be between this and this. And Brady always said up front, I wanted mine at the lower end of regulation. Well, that's not cheating.
Right. So why not say when they ask you about that, listen, I want mine at the lower end of the regulation, which is 12.5, which he eventually said. Yeah, and
we're getting deep here, because
we're nitpicking with it, and we're going deeper into it than probably was intended.
Remember, Brady's MO has always been, I will let my play do my talking. With the media, he tries to say less than nothing to the media.
Right.
Just a lot of aw shucks, we're trying hard, we're going to do better next week. So he didn't want to give the media anything or give you anything.
This wasn't about football, though. That's about football. This is about his life.
What have his actions said to you?
This is about who he is. His action says he doesn't want to go down as a cheater.
Okay.
The same way when you point your finger at federal judges in Congress and say, I did not take steroids.
Palmeiro, you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. He did testify under oath. Tom Brady, who has a spotless reputation, flawless reputation, that he knew absolutely nothing.
It was.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen. So where we are right now, a ruling should come down this week, and then there probably will be appeals. So this isn't going away anytime soon. But I like a point that you brought up. The point of contention, or the sticking point holdup here, is the admittance of guilt on both sides.
Well, I thought I made a couple of good points.
You made great points. But you know, you do it so often, though. She's just trying to big up the rookie.
Now we know what's going on.
She's just trying to big up the rookie.
Next question.
Stop it. It is never easy for me or Andrew Luck when he faces Tom Brady and the Patriots. Apparently, he isn't into watching them either. Find out what has Luck salty when we come back.
Oh.